In this video, I'm going to be going over some of the dumbest things that I have witnessed and experienced while in the Marines. And if you missed part 1, well, don't worry, you don't need to watch it to understand this video, but it will be in the description alongside the first 4 episodes in case you want to watch them. And so with that being said, let's get into the first story, which is when I was stationed in Marine Corps Air Station Miramar, but the story actually takes place in Mexico. Marine Corps Air Station Miramar and the border of Mexico are not far away from each other. Okay, I know that's obvious for anyone living there, but hey, this is the internet, alright? I'm sure someone doesn't know that. Well, going to Mexico while in the US Marines without permission is obviously not allowed, so for the sake of not buddy fucking anyone, nothing I'm about to tell in this story is me advising you to do anything stupid. In other words, don't hear the story, do something crazy, or if you do it, don't blame it on me, because I'm telling you right now, not to do it. But I know what you're thinking. Wait. You said as a Marine, you can't go to Mexico. So why does the story take place in Mexico? Well, that's a good question. I'm going to answer it, but first I need to set the scene. I grew up in Illinois and didn't grow up around a lot of Mexican and Hispanic people. When I enlisted and started living in Southern California, I was there doing both military and non-military stuff for over 6 years. And that's when I really began to, well, meet Mexican and other Hispanic people. And shout out to all the Mexicans and other indigenous peoples out there. Y'all have shown me nothing but love and kindness, and I really do appreciate it. So once I started living in Miramar, I was just a quick trip away from the border, and let's just say that I may or may not have made use of that. I loved going to Mexico. Theoretically, of course. It was lively, the people were friendly, the food and culture is awesome, the scenery was beautiful, and one of my favorite things to do in Mexico is to find a nice place to sit down and eat, sip on a few beers and other drinks with friends and just people watch. Not in a creepy way, of course. There was a point in time when I was stationed in Miramar that every weekend or every other weekend, we would make a trip down south. Most of my friends in the Marines could speak Spanish. In fact, I swear half the Marines are of Hispanic descent and can speak Spanish themselves. I, however, can only speak English and Chinese fluently. My Spanish was dog water. This is me ordering food in Spanish, by the way. Cuanto el pastor taco y horchata muy salsa roja muy capsaicin donde el baño y biblioteca. So whenever we went to the land of the Aztecs, I made sure to stick close to my friends, especially since my data plan is ass. And beyond just enjoying the scenery and the culture, at one point I was also talking to a girl living near the border there, so I had an extra reason to go down. She was chill, although we broke things off. Long story, the reason I'm telling you all this is because I'm not gonna sit here all hypocritically and talk as if I didn't go down there myself. I did, well, theoretically for legal purposes. And some crazy ass stories always surrounding Marines getting caught up doing some dumb shit while down in Mexico. Because here's the thing, right? My group of friends and I were not the only ones with the same idea. In fact, it was pretty common to see people, in Tijuana during the weekends. If you did, you kind of just looked at each other and laughed and kept it moving. But before someone says I'm snitching, first of all, it's anonymous. But second of all, none of this is a secret, alright? We had a dude get caught driving in Mexico with his full fucking issued gear, right? His flak, Kevlar, and other issued equipment all in his trunk. The cop that pulled him over probably thought he was planning a bank heist or something. And he had to get in contact with the chain of command. We had people just getting into fights, doing some crazy shit. And then they also had to have the local police contact the chain of command. And so in other words, it wasn't a secret. Now, there's this place in Tijuana called HK. HK was a gentleman's club. And hey, if you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. HK was also a hotspot. Lots of military people went there. Not saying whether or not I have been incited. And naturally, because HK was a hotspot, crazy shit went on in and around that place. And the story I'm about to tell takes place around that area as well as the downtown area of Tijuana. So one weekend, definitely not other weekends too, the boys and I decided to make a little trip down south. Usually one of my good friends took their car because they were more familiar with driving in Mexico and could communicate in Spanish in case anything happened. Well, that weekend I volunteered my car because the usual people that drove didn't have their cars available. My car being a slightly scratched up Toyota Corolla. Here's the thing, right? I am an Illinois resident with Illinois license plates. So I have no idea why the fuck I volunteered to use my car. Anyways, we head to the border, and although I did have a passport on base, to get through and back to TJ, you didn't need anything more than a driver's license. At least from my experience. Hey, this is not legal advice. We first stopped at a place to eat, and it was really good. I'll put a picture up of what I ate. I don't know the name of the dish, but man, it was good. So we're drinking and having a good time, and we decide to head to an outdoor bar afterwards. There was like a strip of various restaurants and clubs and, well, bars in downtown TJ that you could kind of just explore and hop place to place without much effort. So we stood up and, I got a little buzz going, right? I had a few shots, mezcal, some other stuff, nothing too crazy, but enough where I could feel it. We get to the bar, and once again, we're drinking, and some, not all of course, of the alcohol at the bars and clubs were slightly watered down. The price was still fair, hey, I didn't mind, but because of that, I couldn't really gauge how much I already had to drink the same way I could with other drinks, if that makes sense. So we chill a little bit, right? We kick it, right? There was a club nearby, and we decided to hit that. And at this point, things are getting a little hazy, I'm not gonna lie. As I'm walking towards the club, I'm at the phase of like alcohol consumption where it feels like I'm viewing the world in like 20 frames per second. Like I was clicking through a PowerPoint slide and floating at the same time. So we get to the club, and the dance floor is on the second floor. There's like a set of tables next to the floor. We can order drinks, and so we all grab some seats and order like those bucket beers. I forgot what they're called. I enjoy my occasional beer, but I'm more of a liquor, wine, cocktail kind of guy. But hey, we bought them, so we gotta make sure our money is well spent. And so I'm drinking beer and not thinking too much about it. And some of the guys were dancing with some girls, and we're just, just having a good time, right? Well, the thing about beer is that because I was so used to drinking liquor, I didn't realize how much I was actually consuming until I looked down and saw like 3 empty bottles. Now, that's not crazy for some, but again, I'm not much of a beer drinker. I remember at that moment, I was like, man, I gotta pee. So I let the guys know and head to the downstairs bathroom because the upstairs one was full. And as I'm going down the stairs, I'm trying so hard not to faceplant and make a fool out of myself. And I remember there was like this girl that was like trying to say something to me in Spanish as I was looking for the bathroom. I'm guessing she was asking what I was looking for, so I responded with some like straight up gibberish. I was like, ayuda a baño, beber mucho urinal. This girl rightfully looked at me like I was fucking crazy, and I ain't gonna lie, I may have slurred a few words near there, right? So I slurred some more nonsense, and I stumbled into I straight ran into a wooden door with no sign that I guessed was the bathroom because I saw a bunch of dudes going in and out of it, and thankfully it was. So after I cleaned up, we stayed at the club for a little bit longer, and I hit some more places, got some more food. I would tell you more and more details, but honestly, I was so fucked up, and we all had so much to drink except for the DD, obviously, and we decided to head back to base. Well, we get to the parking lot, and I'm just sitting on the curb sobering up and waiting for everyone getting ready to go when I see one of my friends, who I will call Lopez, rolling on the ground. Lopez was plastered, like most of us, but he was like role-playing a roly-poly. And Lopez was a chill and funny dude. Like, I like Lopez a lot, but he was also a big fan of the bottle. When he got drunk, he wouldn't get violent or anything. He would just become like silly. So we're all laughing and joking around in this parking lot, and I feel like a wave of nausea hit me from like all the drinks I've had, so I kind of just tuck myself into a fetal position and close my eyes. A few minutes go by, I look up, and this dude is arguing with the Mexican police, who I guess had come to check up on us. Now, I don't know Spanish, so I don't know what they were exactly saying, but I'm thinking, bro, you better not start fighting with the Mexican police. I mean, I do not want any trouble with any Mexican police, I don't want any trouble, all right? And this is an actual picture I took of the incident, by the way. Now we are breaking it apart. I'm saying something like, he doesn't mean it, he's drunk, we'll take care of him. And at first the cop was still pretty pissed, but I think he appreciated all of us trying to de-escalate instead of trying to start a freaking MMA fight in the middle of the parking lot. So once we got everything under control, the cop leaves. And I'm still drunk, but sobering up by now. And Lopez is now like literally rolling on the ground. Hey, he was having a good time, all right? I'm not judging. And while trying to fight the Mexican police, while in another country as a US Marine without authorization is a really stupid idea, that's not where the story ends. We head to the border, and I'm not driving for obvious reasons that I was drinking, but it is my car. We get to the border checkpoint, and we've done this so many times already. You usually just flash your ID and they check it and then they let you through. But those previous instances was with California licensed cars. This time it was my Corolla, an Illinois licensed plates. And so as we are in traffic waiting to get to the checkpoint, Lopez is passed out in like the shotgun seat and dude is unresponsive. Like he's alive, but he's so drunk that he's like drooling all over my seatbelt, and we're trying to shake him awake because it's obviously not going to be a smooth border crossing if dude is passed out in my car and unresponsive. My fear right now is that I have like random Marine shit in my trunk. Nothing big like a flak jacket or Kevlar, but just like a set of uniforms and some other like small Marine Corps stuff like skivvy shirts and shorts. So if for whatever reason they searched my car, I would have to explain why I had Marine Corps uniforms with my name on it while technically not being allowed to go to Mexico. So we are getting closer and closer to the checkpoint and Lopez is not waking up. And finally we get there and they see Lopez passed out in my car. My Corolla has like no tints, by the way, so I'm like, man, we are fucked. And guess what? They told us to pull our car to the side to get searched, and this is the first time it's happened. And I'm thinking like, fuck, the chain of command is gonna find out we were here. Once we park, we drag Lopez out, and I thought it was gonna be like a big deal, but once they made sure he was alive and saw his ID, they didn't care. And then they asked who the owner of the car was, which was me. And then they asked why I was driving an Illinois car in Mexico, all the way on the West Coast. This dude probably thought I was like trafficking drugs or something, I don't know, but he was professional about it. But when he asked me to explain, I just gave him a straight up bullshit answer. Hey look, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I couldn't actually tell him the truth that I drove my car from Illinois to California so I can use it on a Marine Corps base. I told the dude that I was like visiting friends in California, that we wanted to take a trip to TJ, nothing crazy, and he looked satisfied and he left after that. They searched my car and they found my uniforms, but I told them that they were for airsoft. I shit you not. Since there were no drugs or anything like actually illicit in the car, they let us go. But you know what? In this story, I was the dumbass for using my Illinois licensed car while trying to be covert. Like, I don't know why I thought that would make me any less suspicious. The moral of the story, don't be stupid. This story takes place while I was doing CMC stuff at Camp Pendleton. It was literally 2 days after I dislocated my left shoulder and tore up my labrum while doing some physical training, aka PT. I would tell you all a cool story, but I pretty much just fell while running while having some heavy stuff on. I landed weirdly and yeah. So anyways, I was freshly in a sling and obviously I couldn't do much physical stuff. My chain of command that day essentially told me to just go away for a few hours because they were gonna do some physical stuff. I forget exactly what because I wasn't there to do whatever the hell they had planned that day. And so I had a few hours to kill, right? It was still early in the morning and I decided that I would just stop by the PX, grab a snack and some random cleaning supplies I needed for field day. I get to the PX, buy my cleaning spray, paper towels, all the other fun stuff. That was just enough for me to be able to carry, or barely carry, with one good arm and one bad arm. And on my way out of the store next to the cashier's table, I'm trying to figure out how to like strategically carry all these items without wiping out and spilling them all over the floor. I tuck in the paper towels into my left arm, which is manageable, and on my right I'm carrying all my bags, and there was like 2 of them completely filled with this random shit alongside cleaning supplies tucked underneath that arm. Like, just imagine me just trying to fucking carry everything, alright? After struggling to get everything balanced and organized, I start walking towards my car, which wasn't that far away. I look like the fucking Michelin Man, okay? My ass was waddling around and trying not to explode. So as I'm heading out the store, I feel my my cover, or a hat, we call it in the military a cover, starting to slip. I'm trying to push my cover up with my right arm, but I can't really move either without dropping everything. And so about 20 steps out the store, my cover just falls down into my chest, and I stop it from falling all the way down to the floor by using my neck to like kind of like pinch it and then cradle it with my like both of my arms. I can't really explain it that well. Just imagine something like that. I couldn't just stop and put my cover on because then I would have to set everything down. And then I only got my items to where they are now because I had like the cashier's table to help grab everything. So I decided to just walk to my car because doing all that while in a sling was just too extra. I get to my car and I'm standing there trying to get my keys out while fumbling around for half a minute when I hear someone suddenly yell, "Hey devil!" I'm confused because there's no one out in the parking lot except me. I mean, sure, there are a few cars around, but they haven't moved at all. I hear it again. "Hey devil!" This time even louder. Oh, by the way, devil is short for devil dog, which is another nickname for Marines. The story goes, at least, that the Germans gave the Marines the nickname, this word right here, so I can't pronounce it, or devil dog, after seeing the Marines fight at the Battle of Belleau Woods in World War I. But usually when talking to each other, it's just shortened to devil. So anyways, now I'm looking around and I see a dude in civilian clothes sitting in his car, probably in his 50s, and he's like 4 or 5 parking spaces down from me. And dude is glaring at me. I made eye contact with this guy and he starts with, "Hey devil, I know you're in a sling." And then he proceeds to blast me for walking outside without a cover on my head. Now, should I have had my cover on my head according to Marine Corps uniform regulations? Yes, on paper. But motherfucker, I was in a sling carrying all my groceries and supplies. Like, if this dude just corrected me, I would have hit him with the, hey, thank you for your correction. Gotta go, sir. But this dude acknowledges that I'm in a sling and can barely move, and then proceeds to scream at me about uniform regulations anyways. Like, bitch, who the fuck are you? Why are you sitting in your cars in your civvies on a random weekday morning watching Marines and looking for a reason to blast them? But the fucked up part, and the actual fucked up part, is that I know he saw me leave the store. I know he saw me struggling with all the shit I was carrying. Not that he needed to help. He doesn't have to do shit. But if he gave so much of a fuck about what I was doing, then he should have gotten out of his car and said something like, hey, devil, you need help? And then made himself known that way. That's what I would have done. Like, dude saw me fumbling around for 30 seconds straight trying to get my Corolla keys out and saw me struggling with all my groceries walking to my car. And this dude definitely just stared at me the entire time. So after this guy blasts me, tells me to wear my cover outside next time, he speeds off. Now, obviously, I don't say anything back other than, gotta go, sir, Ross, because I don't know who the fuck he is. For all I know, he could be the company commander. I don't know. And I'm thinking like, bruh, he really put me on blast via drive-by. It's a short story, but I had to tell it because that shit was ridiculous. And after all that, I was thinking, man, dude was rage baiting me. So anyways, the moral of the story, maybe help out an injured Marine struggling to carry his stuff if you really care that much instead of just blasting him. I don't know what else to say. Thank you for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and like and subscribe for more. Here's my Twitch, by the way. Sorry, I'm so busy with school related stuff and I don't have time to stream yet, but I will eventually and do a face reveal. So take care and bye.